Artifacts and the way you research them has been changed, and I'm not going to give any opinions. I'm just going to explain the system and not waste your time. So like before, the analysis console is how you start researching artifacts. You put the artifact on an artifact analyzer, use the computer. Immediately, you'll see that it is very different looking. This is every single node this artifact has, and you must start from depth 0, or what used to be depth 0, and work your way up. In the beginning, it is very easy. There are different classes to signify depth. The status locked means you have not triggered that node yet. You still have the original ID, and this is important for later. Durability stands for how many times you can proc the effect, and effects work differently. So let's just trigger this artifact first to get started. So I just walk up to it with a crowbar, there will be an action, and then this will trigger the only node because that's it. You'll have the message saying it begins to shift in strange ways, and there is no danger anymore to triggering an artifact. If it says something has changed, you have successfully achieved a new node. So 562 is now colored in, and I can now go to 685, 374, or 410. So each one of these now is always going to feature prying, but it's going to have a different thing you must do first. So for example, if I want to unlock 410, I must use a screwdriver and then a crowbar in that order. If on 374, I have to activate magnetic waves and then crowbar it. If on 685, I need to get rid of the oxygen first and then pry it. How does activating the nodes work now? So we unlock the node. How do you activate the node? That is very simple. So the effect of this one is break windows, and a lot of the danger of science is entirely gone. So if I just press E on this will activate the current node. And yes, I have broken the windows as expected. After you activate it, it can be activated as many more times as a durability state. So I could break 2 more sets of windows across the station. So if you're an antagonist, that can be very useful. If it was something helpful like spawn steel, that would be great to activate all of it right now. The node scanner is also different now. If you scan an artifact with it, it'll just tell you that no active node data has been found. However, if you trigger it, so let's say I re-trigger the node, so I'll crowbar it just to give an example. This is more useful for later steps. If I examine it, it'll tell you I just activated 562, which is the prerequisite. And it will tell you that during the time that it is cooling down. So let's just very quickly do 410, which is screwing and prying. This will give you 10 seconds to complete the rest of the prerequisites, which is crowbarring it. Now, once it is done scanning or whatever it's doing, pulsating, I will have finished that node. You'll see something has changed. Now we have unlocked 410, but we cannot do 979 because we must unlock every other node. You can see the lines fill in with color. So I'm just going to very quickly do the rest of these. So we need magnetic waves and a crowbar. We turn that on. As soon as we do it, you'll see it turn on. And then we have to use the crowbar because that is the prerequisite node. This gets very complicated very quickly. And we can see that I wasn't even able to do it fast enough. So I'm doing it again with the crowbar the second it started triggering, and this time I did it fast enough. We're only at depth 1 with 2 triggers, and it can already start getting rather tricky and complicated. This can go up to 5, or I think you might even be able to go higher than 5 triggers at once on a complicated artifact. This gets to the point of being nearly impossible because you have to do this all within 10 seconds. Also, now that we have this magnetic boot here, it will constantly keep trying to activate the same node we just unlocked, which is completely useless for us. So say we want to try to doing 685, which is an oxygen-free environment. If we leave the mag boots in here, it will always keep trying to do 374 because that's what's currently in there. You need to try to keep your test chamber clear of what node you are trying to unlock. So for example, if you have an artifact that needs either cold temps, no oxygen, or low pressure as its first trigger, you have to do those one at a time. You can't just activate 5 nodes at once. So that is where the huge difficulty this can come into, especially on complex artifacts that have many paths and many triggers at once. So we're going to do 685, which is an oxygen-free environment. We could technically just filter out everything other than the oxygen, but you can also just space it. We also need to get the mag boots out of there as stated. So now that we have nothing else that is repeatedly triggering this artifact, once you see the artifact start to pulsate, that means the only node we could possibly be activating is 685, which to finish this, we need to trigger it. I was not fast enough, so I'm going to try to get some time, because prying it does take time. This is where things like having a Jaws of Life can come in real handy. So I'm going to just go in now and be ready to crowbar. Do not crowbar it first, though, because I'll trigger the wrong node if I crowbar it first. So now that it's going, I need to crowbar it. We have successfully done it. Go back inside. And it will say something has changed and visibly changed. Now we can do 979, which, as we can see, is a 5-step process. So since it requires an oxygen-free environment, we need to keep the oxygen-free environment there. But we might have some issues because it's a low pressure environment in general. So we're going to see how this works, and I'll try to just show you in real time why this can get very complicated. So for this, we need to do every previous effect. We need magnetic waves, we need prying, we need screwing, we need the oxygen-free environment, and we need the music. So we are going to take our mag boots, turn them on. We're going to step in the chamber with a crowbar and a screwdriver. Just for clarity, we need to trigger 979. So I think we're going to have to change up our method here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it to trigger by just playing music like this. So did we trigger 979? Okay, we did. So it's not super specific of how you start triggering this, but it can get rather difficult. Okay, so we have very limited time on this one. I'm not even sure it's possible with normal tools, but we're going to try. So I need to keep the harmonica playing, then I need to screwdriver it, and then I need to crowbar it. I don't think I can do this with normal tools. Maybe? Oh, I actually managed to pull it off. That should trigger the node because we had magnetic waves, music, no oxygen, screwdriver, and crowbar. It is visibly changed. This artifact is done. This was a simple artifact, and I had to do all of that. Also, we got really lucky on this. So now that we're on node 979, if I interact with it, the only effect that's going to end up happening is creating money. So I'm going to walk up to it and press E, and we have created money. Nothing else has happened. To very clarify, so we will not be able to create any more money, but I don't think you can traverse back to previous nodes. So this is where I could be mistaken. So I've done just screwdriver and crowbar, which is 410, which is to make plasma. But if you've already unlocked the node, it just says it slows down before eventually stopping. I don't think you can go back and use nodes of the previous steps. So if you don't use the effects while you're on that specific node that you just unlocked, I don't think you can traverse back or forth through it. So just keep that in mind. If it's a positive one, you should use it or activate it the second you can. If it's a negative one, well, just never touch it. This makes science significantly safer. Obviously it's unfinished. That's why I'm not going to put my own opinions in this, because this is going to change, well, as long as it keeps getting work on it. But that's really it. And the extract points is still the same. Once you get through all the nodes, you can see that the higher tier nodes are worth more. Oddly, 979 is only worth 200 more, which was significantly harder than the previous. And just to showcase a complex one, you can see that the node requirements can get rather difficult. You need to do several prerequisites to even go higher in the trees. Like going to 260 will require you to do 2 tier depth zeros and then the depth 1. It definitely gets more complicated than this. This one's actually not too terrible. But things having low temperature as a prerequisite makes things really difficult, where tightening is easy and physical damage isn't too bad either. So there is still RNG involved with this, obviously. But I think the new artifact system is really going to require all science departments to be redone. You're going to have to physically be inside the chamber way more than you used to before, and you're going to need things like hard suits or temperature resistance suits or a lot of tools to do this. So this doesn't have like an airlock barrier. So it's going to be really hard to go inside and work on artifacts without having a functioning airlock, for example. Because like, imagine if I need to have high pressure in there and plasma, but I also have to go in there and physically hit it. And I don't have a proper airlock system here, so like I guess you can make tiny fan or hollow fans, but that requires tech in the first place. Either way, this is all being worked on, and this is going off of the objective path. I think I explained the system fully. It's not really all that much more complicated. The node system is a little confusing to me still. I have only spent, well, a few hours with this at best, so I could possibly be wrong about being able to traverse through nodes, but I think once you unlock a new node, there's no going back to use the previous effects. But other than that, cool work. Can't wait to see more, and thank you for watching.